Hello, I'm Melissa from Melissa's Creations, and today I'm going to show you how to make this cute card box book thing using the Balloon Celebration stamp set. This little guy here, this punch, is a technique I've done many times before, but basically it's the decorative label punch, and then we just kind of shorten it on itself. But if you open this up, it has a pocket on the inside where you can put some cards, and you can also put your envelopes right in here in this little band dealy guy. This sample that I made, it's a little bit big on the inside, so the one I'm going to show you, we're going to kind of shorten this pocket a little bit, and we're going to make it a little bit narrower so there's not quite as much space. But the size can be easily adapted. If you want to put a whole bunch of cards in here, then this would be perfect. But the sample that I want to do, I just want to put a couple cards in, maybe 3 or 4. So we're going to kind of amend that a little bit. So let's go ahead and get started. I am using the 2015-2017 in colors, and the two that I'm focusing on are Watermelon Wonder and Mint Macaron. And I also have my Balloon Bouquet punch and my Balloon Celebration stamp set. So we're going to start with the base of the card, and I already have it pre-cut so that I don't have to sit here and show you guys how to cut a piece of paper. But basically, you're going to start with a piece that's 11 by 6, and then you're going to score it at 5 1/4, flip it, and score it at 5 1/4, so that basically you have a strip down here that measures, what is this, a 1/2 inch. Yeah. So that's going to be our base. I went ahead and rounded the corners too, so make it nice and pretty. So that's going to be our base, and I'm using a Whisper White cardstock for the base on this one. This was very vanilla, but I wanted to kind of switch it up a little bit. For the inside, our pocket right here, I am using Mint Macaron, and this piece measures 6 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And we're going to do some scoring. So I'll bring in my score pal. And you're going to score it at 1/2 inch, and 3/4. Flip it and do the same, 1/2 inch and 3/4. Oops, kind of got out of my lines there a little bit. And then on one of the long edges, which will be your bottom, you're going to score the same. So 1/2 inch and 3/4. And like I said, this is going to be a very shallow pocket on our card. This one is a 1/2 inch pocket right here, but we're going to do a 1/4 inch pocket on this one instead. So once you have your score lines, I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. Go ahead and fold, and I'm not going to burnish it super hard at the moment because I'm going to be kind of folding this a lot as I try and put it together, so I don't want it to get too messed up. So you're going to take some scissors, and you're going to cut up to the furthest score line on both of your scores there, so that basically you have this little tabby in the middle like this. Do that to the other side. And then you're going to cut out the middle bit just to the first score line. So you still have a tiny little flap here, but you're just going to cut a little bit off that little tabby there. So basically it looks like this. Okay. All right, now we're going to shape our pocket and glue it together. So just kind of bend it and fold it and manipulate it here. I find the best way to get this closed is to fold this long tab in, okay, and then fold it down so that it's flush against your paper, and then this little bit just tucks in. It kind of reinforces the corner. That's why I'm not cutting it off. You're going to do that to this side, and you're going to do that to this side. Okay, like so. And then you're going to fold these down like this. So you're going to want to glue all those little bits and pieces down. So the first thing I'm going to do is put some glue on this little tab right here. And I don't need super strong on this part right here, because when we glue it down to our card, the super strong part, we're going to use the tear and tape adhesive. Also the fast fuse would work, but when we get it down stuck onto our base of our project, that's where we're really going to want that heavy duty stuff. So I'm just folding these in and tacking those down with some snail. And then I'm going to put a little bit of snail right here on the inside. So I just put a little tiny bit of snail right here, and I'm going to fold that up. And again, a little bit more snail just in the corner here so that we can get our box kind of situated, and then we'll set it aside until we're ready to move on to the next part. Okay, there we go. So now I have the base of my box. So this is going to be stuck to the paper side, and this is the outside of our pocket here. Now that I'm thinking about it, I could have probably stamped a little bit on there to give it a little bit more interest and texture and dimension, but I didn't. So if you want to, before you glue it, would be the time to do that. So I'm going to set our pocket aside, put my label back on it so I remember which piece it is. And we're going to bring in, excuse me, this band part here, which I have already cut out. It is 1 inch wide by 7 3/8 long. We're going to do some scoring on this too, and it's basically the same thing. You're going to do a 1/2 inch and 3/4. So 1/2 and 3/4. Flip it and do the same. 1/2 and 3/4. And this is going to hold our envelopes. So I'm just going to lightly fold those over. Again, you don't really need the bone folder to burnish these at this point. Just need that light crease. And really there's not a lot of gluing on this until we get to putting it onto our base. So I'm just going to go ahead and set that aside. All right. Now for the mat on the front of our card, we need a piece of mint macaron that measures 5.5 by 4 3/4, and we're going to round 2 of those corners that go on the outside of our little booklet, so that when we put it up here like this, it's nice and rounded. Okay, and then for the main part of our book here, you need a piece of whisper white that measures 5 inches by 4 1/4 inches. And that's what we're going to start decorating right now and get our stamps going on. So I have a piece of mint macaron scrap that was left over after I cut out my band, pocket, and my mat. We're going to use this to cut out our balloons, but before we cut them out, we're going to stamp. And in one of my previous videos, I showed you guys a little trick on how to match up your stamps so that when you punch it out, it comes out really great. So I'm going to go ahead and do that technique again. And when you do this, you're just going to take a piece of scratch paper, punch it out, and make sure that the big balloon is on the right hand side when you set your scrap paper down to work. So since I'm using mint macaron for my balloons, the background of my balloons, I'm going to take the accent, the little dotty guys, and I'm going to lay that down right on top of my balloon punch from my scrap paper here, so that when I get ready to stamp and punch my balloons, I don't have to do a lot of lining up. It'll just be ready to go for me. Okay, now we'll get our clear block, and this is block D. This is probably the most used block ever. I find myself reaching for this block 8 times out of 10. So this is, if you don't have the clear blocks, this is the first one I would recommend getting. So we're going to pick up our stamps, and see, they're kind of right in line with what we're going to be stamping out. I don't know if you can see that actually. See? It's gonna be perfect. All right. So we're gonna take some mint macaron ink, and we're gonna stamp that right onto our paper, making sure that we leave enough room for the, I better move that or else I'll get ink all over my stuff. So making sure you leave enough room for the punch to do its thing. And I have 4 balloons on here, but I actually want to add a couple more of the Watermelon Wonder. So I'm going to do 1 of each in the Watermelon Wonder on Watermelon Wonder paper. I just kind of came up with that just now because I really think that it could use another pop of color. I think this will be just absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to quickly clean off my stamp. And you could definitely, if you didn't have all the papers, you could definitely just use the ink. That's what I did on this card. I had a very vanilla base. I stamped my image off with the solid balloon. So I stamped it on scrap paper, and then I stamped it on my very vanilla. And then I came back with the solid dot image. I did not stamp that one off. That was full ink. So that's how I got kind of the two-tone. And then I went back around and I sponged around the outside to give it, because I had a little bit of cream showing through. So I wanted to make sure that I could not see the cream. So I sponged around the edges. So here we go with 2 more balloons here in the Watermelon Wonder. I just love this color. It's so bright and fun. I'm pretty much in love with it right now. Okay. Make sure we clean our stamps off. Perfect. All right, we'll set that block aside. Excuse me. We will come in with our punch and just line it up. There's those. And we'll do our green mint macaron. See how easy this is when we line up our stamps first? It is just so cool. I love it. All right, so we are going to go back through and sponge around. I like the darkness around the edge. So I'm going to sponge around, and it just gives it a really nice dimension to it. And we're going to be popping these up off of our page, so I really want to make sure that I have that dimension. So just to show you the difference between the two, see how much of a difference that makes. I think it's really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of those, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have all of my balloons sponged around the outsides now. looking very lovely. So I'm going to take my base thing, my piece of Whisper White cardstock that I'm going to be stamping on, and I'm going to kind of lay them out in kind of just however I want them to kind of look. I'm going to angle them up off of the page, and I'm going to, you know, do some layers here, and I think I'll put this red one on top, and then this one right there. And I'm kind of putting them all in the same direction. I don't know how well you can see what I've got going on here, but I'm angling all of the tabs off to this lower right hand corner here because I'm going to come back in with the string and make it look like they're all going that direction. I'm going to actually use this smaller block. Here comes D block again to save the day. Okay. And I can probably take these off so I can see better. One thing about these photopolymer stamps is they're awesome because they stick really well to the acrylic blocks. And then with small stamps like this, you can actually shape these pretty much any way you want. They're very flexible, but I want kind of the straighter wavy line like this. All right, so I'm going to stamp my balloon strings in a darker color. I used black on my sample, but I think that's just a little too dark. I'm gonna go ahead and do soft suede. Actually, no, we're gonna stick with our ink colors, and we're going to use Tip Top Taupe. That is in the same 2015-2017 ink color collection as the Mint Macaron and Watermelon Wonder. So the way that I'm gonna get my balloon strings, hopefully I can do this well enough, is I'm just gonna take one balloon off at a time, and I'm going to stamp my string where the balloon was. So now we'll take this one off. That way when I get ready to put them all back on, I know where they all came from. Oh no, I got a little bit on the side of my block there. Well, hopefully you won't do that. Maybe we can cover that up when we keep going with the rest of this here. Okay, so put another string there. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, if your strings are off a little, it's really not going to make too big of a difference. You can just kind of go with it and put them wherever they need to go to do what you want them to do. That one's going to cross a little bit, and then we have one up here. So they almost look like they're floating away. Yeah, I've got a little ink splotchy on my paper there, but you can see that's where I have my my little balloon strings. And actually I'm looking at this now and I'm like, oh my gosh, that would make such a cool like branch, or you know, you could like do little branches off of that. Anyway, I have my little splotches over here, and there's nothing I can do about that now. I could turn it over and redo it, but I'm just gonna go with it for the sake of the video. All right, so now we have our base here. We're going to put our balloons down, and I'm going to directly glue some of the balloons to the background. And I am going off the paper a little bit because when I put it onto my mat, I like how it looks like it's floating off the page. But you can see that I angled the tab of the balloon onto the string. Okay. So there's our balloons. Look like they're flying away. Super cute. So now to kind of cover up where all of the balloon strings are, we're going to take a little bit of snail, and we're just going to put a little bit right here on top of our balloon strings. And I'm going to take some of our linen thread, and tack the end down onto your snail. Make a loop, tack that down, make another loop. Basically, I'm going to do this until I have 4 loops that go kind of almost in a clover-like shape. And one more, and then we can snip that off, just like so. And actually, I'm going to take a little bit more off. Okay, just to kind of give some fun whimsiness, and I like the way that the linen thread looks on there. Okay. Now we are going to do our word. So with a piece of the scrap Whisper White that you have from cutting your pieces in your card, we're going to take the sentiment from the Balloon Celebration set. It's the one that says, "Come, let us sit together and drink." But I want to take off the "and drink" part. As much as I love drinking, and anybody that knows me knows that, I just like the idea of "come, let us sit together," because this is a stamp set that is very versatile. But what I'm going to use this for actually is a door prize at my catalog launch party that I'm having in June. So anybody that's watching this video that's coming, this is kind of a sneak peek. I'm not going to really announce it anywhere else. So if you watch my videos, this will be one of the door prizes that I will give away. But to top it off, it's going to be full of cards. So just a heads up, make sure that you participate in whatever door prizes I'm doing for the party. If you can't make it to the party, I apologize, but if I have any interest or enough interest from viewers, and you write to me or comment on my video or my blog, let me know, hey, I want to participate in a giveaway, then I may offer something online. But I don't really want to offer it unless people want to do it. So you're going to have to let me know. So I am only inking up the part of the stamp that I want, the "Come, let us sit together." And I'm going to stamp it kind of up a little bit on my page. Okay. Because we're going to use our decorative label punch to punch this out. So there I have "Come, let us sit together." And I'm going to use my label punch. And I'm punching it this way. So I want it pretty close to the bottom, but I want to make sure that it's straight-ish. Okay, so that's pretty good right there. I'm going to go ahead and punch that out. Scrap bin. Excuse me, getting over a cold. Actually, I had the flu. So now what I'm going to do is I'm putting it back, I'm putting it back in my punch like this, but I'm lifting it up slightly so that it is above the punched part, because I don't want the whole thing, I don't want to lose these bits on the end here, and if it was the other way, I would lose them. So I'm just pulling it up as far as it'll go without hurting my paper and punching that out. And this is what we have left. Super cute. Okay, so now we are going to, I really like sponging, obviously. So I'm just going to take some Melon Mambo and sponge around that. Again, it just pops it off the page, especially when it's white on white like this. So I think that's really important to get some definition. There we go. Looking good. All right, we're going to pop that up with a couple of dimensionals. And we're going to put that right over the middle of our linen thread. Just like so. Ta-da! Pretty. All right. So I think what I'm going to do is take some Tip Top Taupe, and I'm kind of going by the seat of my pants right now because of my little blemish that I got on my page by accident. And I'm going to, actually, are those corners rounded? Yeah, they are. I'm going to round these corners. Ooh, and I can't do it with this one. Unless that squishes. Oh yeah, I can. It squishes enough. So just a note, make sure you round your corners on here before you start gluing everything down. All right, so now I'm gonna come back with some Tip Top Taupe. And I'm just gonna go around the edges. And again, because I'm doing this on the seat of my pants here, I should have done this before I stuck everything down, but it just came to me all of a sudden, like. So there's no, I believe that with stamping, there's nothing that can't be fixed, and that is what I am attempting to do right now, is fix something that I either did wrong or didn't like. And you don't have to get, you know, totally underneath the stamps. I'm just kind of going right up to the edge of the punched balloons there. Okay, so I think I'm going to do a couple more things with this before we move on. I do want to try and cover those little spots a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is take the cloud, the little cloud. So I've got the little one here. And I'm going to stamp it in Tip Top Taupe. I'm going to stamp off because I don't want it too dark. And then I'm going to stamp it on the background here. And we'll do another little one here. And then to make it look like it's on purpose, we'll do one there. And one going off the page this way. There. So you can still see the dark little splotchy part, but it's not quite as noticeable. It almost looks like we did it on purpose. And you could come back in with a sponge dauber and daub those clouds. Ooh, I like it. Then you really can't even tell. It just gives the clouds a little bit more texture. There we go. See? Ah. So cool. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to cover up your boo-boos. So there's, like I said, there's really nothing that you can't get around if you make a mistake on your project. It's all about adaptability, you guys. No problem at all. All right. So now we have our lovely, oh my gosh, I'm really excited about how this is turning out. Even though I may have run into a few snags, I was able to overcome the obstacles. That's what I'm all about these days. There's nothing that's going to stand in my way, guys. If I want something, I'm going to go for it until I get it. And if I don't get it, I'm not going to give up. My little inspirational speech of the video. Okay, so before I stick this down, I want a little bit of interest on my mint macaron. So we are going to come in with, ooh, I was going to do stars, but you know what? This little tiny wishy is super cute. And I'm using the A block, which is the smallest of the blocks. There we go. I'm going to take some mint macaron again. And because that's the color of my paper, and then I'm just going to go around the edge, and I'm going to kind of make my own border. There, so now I have a little border that I created with that little tiny wishy stamp, which is so cute. I swear, every time I look at this stamp set, I see a new stamp, and I'm like, oh. There's a lot to see, and I haven't really played with all of these different stamps in here yet, so it's just kind of exciting. Every time I play with my stamps, I find something new. All right, so I'm just gonna put some snail down on here. I'm gonna stick that to my card, my mat here. Now, you might think that the wishies are a little busy, and if you do, that's fine, just leave them off. But like I said, I just like the way it brings it all in, and because this background is gonna be so plain, I think it really works. See? It's pretty cute. So before I stick this down, we're gonna grab some of our organza, the Whisper White organza ribbon. And I'm just gonna take a huge spoolful here. I'm not gonna cut it off yet because I do still want to see. And I have about, oh, give or take, I'm on the centimeter side, so I have to flip it over. Oh, I don't know. There's about 8 inches of ribbon on each side here, which is the length of that, which should be 11 inches. So I'm just going to run some snail right down the middle. That's probably good. And then I'm going to bring in my card. I'm going to put my card down, and then I'm going to put the ribbon on top of it because I have more control over the straightness that way. So bring your fingers in until you feel the snail. There it is. Okay. And try and get it in the middle. And then work from one side down. Okay. And it's okay if it doesn't completely glue to the side of your card because we're going to be gluing this on top of it. And it'll pretty much glue it down. It's a little tiny bit crooked, but you know what? Once you get it tied and everything, you won't even really be able to tell. So before I glue that down, we're going to work on the inside of our card. I am going to trim my ribbon though. Don't like how that trimmed. Let's try this again. There we go. Nice and sharp. And these are great scissors, but I believe that they are retiring. So if they're not already sold out, go and see if they're there because these are amazing scissors. All right. So now is when we're going to be gluing down our pocket and our band for our envelopes. Okay, so grab your pocket back out. And we're going to take some tear and tape adhesive. And you're going to put a couple strips down onto the dooley guy. Dooley bob whirlamajig thingy. So I have a strip on the bottom here. And when I tear the tape off, I have a tiny bit hanging over. So all you need to do is when you get your tape off, you're going to fold it over onto itself. No problem at all. Okay, do the sides and then do another strip because this tape I think is about 1/4 of an inch wide and our flaps that we're gluing down are a 1/2 inch. And I did a 1/2 inch instead of a 1/4 inch because I think that it would last longer and stick better with a wider surface area. So I'm going to go ahead and come back on here, do a second strip, and I'm going to do that for all 3 sides. So I'll see you guys back. Okay, so I went ahead and put that tear and tape adhesive on 2 strips on every side here. And now I'm going to make sure that I have the correct side of my project. The pocket goes straight down on the right side if you're looking at it open. And there should be about a 1/4 inch or so on each side. Hopefully that did it. I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm just going to kind of push those flaps down so they get a nice stick. Okay, so there is a pocket. Mine's off just a tad bit, but there we go. We have a pocket. Cool. Now we're going to come in with our band, and we're going to be putting that on the inside flap here. So again, you're going to do the same thing. Take your tear and tape adhesive, put it on your little tabs here, your 1/2 inch scored mark. And these just have to hold envelopes, so I'm not too worried about how sticky this is going to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'll go with the 1, but then I'll also come in with a tiny bit of snail to kind of finish it off. I think that'll be just fine. All right. So we'll just do a quick run of snail over the rest of that. And you want to try and get it as centered as you can. And I'm on the non-inch side. I'm on the centimeter side of this paper, so it's kind of throwing me off a little bit, but that's okay. All right. So go up just about, this is just slightly, it's like 1/8 of an inch smaller than the length of the page here. So I'm just going to go up just a hair above the bottom of the card. Stick that end down. And then I'm going to flip it and do the same thing on this side. You want to make sure that it's as straight as you can get it. And I'm just going to put that down just a hair over that edge there. There. Okay. Now we have the base of the inside of our project. Here's where your envelopes go. Here's where your little cards go. And now I'm just going to kind of fold that down a little bit. You could have stuck this on probably before you did that, but it's okay. It'll still work just fine. So I'm going to put some snail on this guy. Quite a lot, actually. And line him up. Like so. Okay, you guys. Looks pretty darn good if I do say so myself. Then you'll just come over here and you'll put your cards in, put your envelopes in, do a little bow on the side here, and you should have enough with 8 inches on each side to tie a pretty bow. I'm just doing a really quick one here, so it's not going to be all that impressive, but it's good enough. So there we go. We have a little cute card box that you can use for hostess gift, for any gift really. You can give it to anybody you want and they'll think that that's just the coolest thing in the world. So again, we use the Balloon Celebration stamp set, the Balloon Bouquet punch, and the 2015-17 in colors, Mint Macaron, Watermelon Wonder, and Tip Top Taupe. If you want measurements and directions on how to make this, please let me know in the comments, or you can email me or contact me at my blog. I'd be happy to write something up for you, but again, I don't want to do it unless I have a demand for it. So thank you for joining me. If you like this video, please like it. If you like this video and want to see more, please subscribe to my channel because I'll be posting a lot of things, especially on Monday or Tuesday. I should be getting my pre-order box and I can't wait to show that to you guys. Thanks for joining me. Have a good day.